Man, what's man, what's cracking? It's your EsseHomie back at it again with another reaction. This right here, it's like a little documentary, you know what I'm saying? I know everybody's is probably still interested in the little Chicago drama. I'm not gonna say drama, man. All the things that happen over there, the stories of people, etc., man. So we're gonna go into this one. This is from y'all see who it's from. The many murders of 051Melly. And if you guys been watching any videos from Chicago, you guys know who 051Melly is. Jarmel. But yeah, that's what we gonna do today, man. Before we get started, I got my Red Bull, go get y'all shit. I got my smokes, go get your smokes. I got my hot Cheetos, go get what you gonna get, man. Whatever y'all do to watch these reactions, y'all videos, and etc. And just chill. Go ahead and get that ready and let's get into this shit, man. But before that, here's the intro. I'll be right back. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Feel me? Get your ass out. Alright. This was the murders of 051Melly. If you guys know, he's one of the person that supposedly has the most bodies out of all the people in Chicago. One of them, and he's the one that did a lot of the sliding, and supposedly the one that everybody was scared of, kind of. And he ain't care who you was, man or female. He's taking you out. So let's get in it, man. 051Melly.
Extended versions of my videos, go to patreon.com/traplawross. Also, you can now watch my new drops on Spotify, so go search me there. Here's the video. 051Melly is one of the most notorious gangsters in Chicago history. Given the nickname the Chirac Gravedigger, Melly is undoubtedly one of the most dangerous people to ever emerge from the Windy City, with rumors of him.
Alright, man. Do they really call him the Gravedigger, or is that just a name somebody gave him and they just went with it, man?
Having caught as many as 15 bodies while participating in up to 43 different hits in multiple overlapping gang wars, Melly was as feared as he was respected. He applied so much pressure to his enemies in the streets that when he finally ended up losing his life, his ops were ecstatic, with many taking to the recording booth to diss this demonic shooter that had been terrorizing them for years. Melly really struck fear into the most seasoned Chicago shooters, with the likes of King Von rumored to have had 7 bodies of his own, celebrating Melly's death with glee in his most famous song, Back Again. While King Von gained a reputation as rap's first serial killer for his alleged 7 murders that he got away with and rapped about, many in the city had already dubbed Melly as the original serial killer of the Chicago streets. The difference is, Melly never released music, but simply rose to notoriety through his reputation as a shooter and killer, whispered in the streets by those he pressured and extensively praised.
That's crazy, man. When people know who you are, your name, not from music, not from acting, not from sports, but from doing what you're doing in the streets, man. When your name is known for the things you do out there like that, that's crazy.
By rappers from his own gang for his extensive street portfolio. The mysterious murderer has been made famous by the Chicago drill community, but until now, nobody has ever determined once and for all the extent to which Melly was indeed a serial killer who caught bodies as routinely as a regular citizen catches the bus. So today, we're going to break down once and for all the many murders of 051Melly and determine once and for all if this legendary Chicago gangster really is the serial killer they say he is.
How do you feel about 051Melly getting compared with King Von and Tay Savage? Like those are the 3 names that everyone's comparing them to.
No, you can't compare my brother to nobody.
One of the most reckless BDs out here, but I'm BDK. But he BDK.
We forced y'all in this, bro. We the reason why y'all got y'all name right now. You know that.
And y'all the reason why y'all got a name. Y'all got a name. It's never been no killing without killing.
Hey, this bus stop right here though. This a real famous place. Yeah?
It's crazy because Melly got this reputation. He ain't never even dropped any music, but everybody know him.
That's a freaked up girl in Vaughn. Freedom though. I'd rather them dead than in jail.
But she be tripping a lot, you know. She be upset. Like she don't be having that much playtime sometimes.
You were just saying I'm the youngest in charge out here.
I've been the youngest in charge for some years now, you know.
You scared of the dark? No. I'm one of them type of guys that be in the dark waiting for you when you gotta go pee at night.
You had just lost an artist that you just signed to OTF. So this is like the 2nd time in 6 months.
Yeah, it's the 2nd time.
And I just get you, and you don't never come back to your parents again.
I'm with the nigga that did. He don't want to be on camera though. Hit his ass up right here on Pat. Now I got that order for news. Chino burger.
Just let me a piece. Yeah, Chino burger. That's what they said.
Yo, they be clowning, bro. They be clowning the hell out of the dead people, bro. That's crazy. Clowning, and then what happens in the end? Look where they at right now, man.
2 weeks, he is back.
You want me to read you a bedtime story and tuck you in?
From 600. I thought they was extinct on Tuka Grade.
When he walked down the dark alley, he ain't make it to the other end of the alley.
5 o'clock in the morning, still outside, me and my toy. Who there were the police?
Y'all know damn well y'all won't finna catch me.
Man, they just killed y'all.
Who allegedly killed Melly got charged 0078. Is that someone you friends with?
Okay. Like I said, 44K, 46K, 300K, 600K. Getting that Melly weight, getting that ring.
We'll make it. We'll make it to 100 years, yo. I'm gonna be one of the last ones, man.
Yeah, you know how to move.
Yarmel Devontae Jameer Williams, better known as 051Melly, was born on November the 19th, 1991 to a mother named Angie and a father named Yamur. Melly grew up with 2 siblings, including his brother Wu and his sister Kenjia. Wu's father, Jerome Golden, aka Fido, was also Melly's stepfather until he would get a life sentence in 1994 for a quadruple murder where he allegedly took part in the slaying of 4 men for selling drugs in the wrong turf. Fido apparently being a member of the BDN, or Black Disciple Nation, who controlled the area where Melly grew up, a gang that we'll be discussing in more detail. Melly was also close to his 2 uncles, G Slim, who was one of the founders of the No Limit, or NLMB, gang set from the so-called east side of Chicago, who have heritage in the gang the Black P Stones, a crew known for their infamous rappers like G Herbo, Lil Bibby, and Mellow Bucks, and Kurt Mack, who was a well-known member hailing from the so-called Dro City area in Woodlawn, where the original creator of drill music, the rapper Pac-Man, also hailed from. Melly's family connections even reach all the way to the rapper Bump J, who reps the Four Corner Hustlers gang, and who was perhaps the most popular gangster rapper from Chicago before the drill era began. Clearly, gangs have been a part of Melly's life since a very young age, but interestingly, Melly's family connections could have taken his life in a completely different route than it ultimately did. Because while Melly has become known as one of the deadliest rivals of world-famous rappers like Lil Durk and King Von, they actually grew up in the same areas and circles. Melly spent his early years in the Randolph Tower, also known as the Calumet Building or simply the Met Building, a large public housing project located at 6217 South Calumet Avenue, only a block away from the infamous O Block, aka Parkway Gardens, which guys like Chief Keef and King Von would later begin to claim. Randolph Tower was known as one of the biggest Black Disciple strongholds in Chicago during the 90s and early 2000s.
Ain't that the building where supposedly they had a sniper? He would be sniping his ops in the top floor, just sniping people. And he hit a little kid and shit. And I guess something happened and somebody told. And yeah, but ain't that the building? The Calumet building?
Well, police discovered a gruesome double murder in a Southside Chicago apartment today after an anonymous tip. The bodies of 57-year-old Jesse Jackson, not of Operation Push, and an unidentified young woman were found murdered at 6217 South Calumet Avenue. Jackson lived in the apartment. The woman in her mid-20s lived nearby. The bodies were tied together with electrical cord, and police say there is no sign of forced entry and no weapons were found in the room.
Until their leadership was indicted for running a corporate-style drug empire in 2004, where dealers were making up to $45,000 a day selling drugs, while other members would guard the building from the roof, even making use of sniper rifles and night vision goggles. And while the gang had their headquarters in the Met Building, or the Castle as they called it, they would control the drug trade across a very large area, which included the Parkway Gardens, aka O Block. But besides Melly, numerous people famous within the drill scene grew up in the Met Building, such as Chief Keef, Lil Reese, and even FYBJ Maine.
Everybody that's out here for real, that's like I don't even want to really name, but like Melly, all these big time, they really from 6217, right? Like, straight up, like FYBJ Maine, 6217, baby, like, right. You feel me? Like,
Reese from that too, ain't he?
Yeah, 6217. Reese my cousin, 6217, baby, yeah. Right. Keith, 6217, baby.
Right. All these people came out of the building. Right.
6217, baby. Capo, right. 6217, baby.
The legendary GBE Capo.
My cousin, yeah, 6217, baby. For sure. All they had 6217 babies. They had like, it's just like when the Calumet building got took down, back when I was a shorty, you know, went to their blocks and you know that.
In fact, Jay Main's father was one of the board members of the gang who ruled their operations inside and outside the building.
My pops is a man, he originated in the Calumet building, and he did get indicted, and he did get locked up in 04, and yeah, they labeled him as a black disciple. It do hit different when they labeled Pops as a black disciple, and he went down as one of them board members, bro. It do hit different. My dad was a rich my childhood. Yeah, he ran a certain area from a certain part of Chicago, from the state to the lake. That's what I read in the paperwork for them grades. Like I say, I ain't here putting it on Pops. It do it different.
The Randolph Tower was eventually demolished in 2006 as part of the Chicago Housing Authority's plan to get rid of almost all of the large public housing projects in the city. But at some point, Melly's family moved to another address in the same neighborhood, located near 59th and Calumet. This area eventually becoming known as the turf of the set 600, who would later become Melly's worst enemies, as Melly's brother Wu would later recollect during his DJU interview.
I'm saying, like, we stayed there. I used to have to walk out there with my sword. Like, that's how we came out there with the sword. On 59th, that's what it was, you feel me? Like, I was in their hood, I lived in their hood, like, I walked from there, I used to walk from 59th to the 51st through the park, like, you feel me? Yeah. But when I was out on 59th, it wasn't up like how it was, you feel like, had like, look, you know, I be sneaky talking, we wasn't like into it, but I had secret animosity, but we ain't just nobody to play with, you feel me? So you ain't gonna do nothing you want to do for real. Right. And that's just what it was. Okay, cool.
Yo, that boy right there sleeping. That boy right there sleep. He that man shit boring. Look at him. You falling asleep, waking up to make sure nobody looking at him. Then you just gonna go right back to sleep. I know that feeling. I do that shit a lot. Early in the morning when I go to work, I got the 6 o'clock a.m. morning meetings for safety and all that bullshit. But this. So I know exactly how you feel, man. Real. I do the same shit at work.
Right. And that's just what it was. Okay, cool.
Although Melly would seemingly keep living in the area for some time, he would ultimately become close with kids from the opposite side of Washington Park who hung around the 51st Street and were part of a gang set known as 051 Young Money, who were primarily identifying as Mickey Cobras. Melly is in fact the same generation as the older founding members of this gang, such as Carlos Merrill, aka Lil Los, Lance Youngblood, and Isaiah Walker, aka Zico, who were all killed in 2008 when Melly was still in high school. Particularly the murder of Zico, who is often considered as the main founder of the 051 Young Money gang, would play a role in defining one of Melly's earliest rivalries with the set known as 46 Terror, later named THF 46, whose member Aki Walton was actually convicted of Zico's murder. Having had 3 people close to you killed during just 1 year, before the drill culture would even escalate the gang rivalry in the city, is truly tragic, and it may partly explain why Melly would eventually turn into the cold-blooded killer that he allegedly was. However, this was only the beginning for Melly losing people around him. In July 2009, 21-year-old Dominic Barnes from the 051 neighborhood would be shot and killed, which would years later lead to THF 46 member and Lil Durk's good friend THF Bezu getting charged for the murder.
Hey, that boy look like he dangerous, man. That boy got a strong face, feel me? They got a strong ass face, on. For real. He look like he's dangerous as hell just by the look of him, bro. Shit.
He would end up beating these charges. Bezu himself would allegedly almost be killed by 051 in April 2011 when 18-year-old THF 46 affiliate Quinton Turner, aka Quint, was killed in a triple shooting where Bezu was also hit. Years later, Melly would bring up this incident while on Instagram Live with Bezu, after Bezu would claim that Melly and other 051 members were all good kids until THF forced them to hop in the streets by applying so much pressure.
Hey Melly, who forced y'all in?
Who the reason why we play with guns?
Who forced y'all in?
Y'all the first people.
Y'all was driving y'all mama's cars in 8th grade, bro.
So you lying. I want to drive my mama's car. I want to drive
y'all.
He know that. He know everything about him. Driving mama's car, daddy car.
Oh, now you lying for you. You just said half of us ain't. You can say half the young man was basketball players. You ain't gonna say nobody know.
Hey, Melly, man, half y'all was the mama's boys, man. Y'all drive y'all mama's car in 7th and 8th grade, bro. We forced y'all in this, bro. We the reason why y'all got y'all name right now. You know that.
You say y'all the reason why we got us a name, and y'all the reason why y'all got a name. Y'all got a name. It go both ways.
Hey, he ain't denying it though. He ain't denying it.
I don't even give a damn. You want to start this on? It's gonna go both ways.
Nah, we been to
it's never been no killing without killing. We gonna keep it real though.
We been into it y'all since 07, bro.
You damn right, but it's never been no killing without killing though. We ain't gonna.
I'm saying what year somebody died on my block?
You said what year?
For sure.
You go get killed in 08. I'm keeping fun. Then somebody died at 10, right?
Never heard of him.
What?
10.
It ain't having back to back. Then somebody died at 10 right there. Then you get shot then?
I got shot at 11.
All right, well, 11. You got shot, right?
Yeah.
You got shot and then somebody checked, right? All right, we ain't gonna be.
I got shot for sure.
All right, look, we ain't gonna be doing it on the internet. That ain't for the internet.
Too late, dog. What are you talking about? Too late.
051's gang rivalries would begin to intensify during the early 2010s, boosted by the rise of social media and the start of the drill music movement. Perhaps the first casualty of this new era on 051's side was 18-year-old Tariq Mahdi, aka T Streets, who was gunned down in November 2011 on a quiet stretch of street in the Washington Park neighborhood. And while this murder has remained unsolved, there have been numerous different theories about who might have been behind it, with many thinking that this was actually the first casualty in the years-long war between 051 and the 600 set. After all, the murder took place very close to 600's hood. However, this theory has been challenged by many people who often claim that T Streets was in fact killed by 051's old enemies, THF-46. King Von, on the other hand, would famously name-drop T Streets in his popular song I Am What I Am, rapping how somebody tried to do a peace treaty and ended up dying like T Streets. These lyrics perhaps hinting that T Streets' murder has a backstory that might not be fully known to the people on the outside. But whatever actually happened, the fact that Melly's first alleged kill would take place only a few days before T Streets' first posthumous birthday, and Melly was certainly claiming to have been killing people in T Streets' name. On the 2nd of February 2012, 20-year-old Shaquille Rush, aka Shaq, was attending a party with his friends in the 600 set's turf. While Shaq wasn't seemingly actively involved in gangbanging, he lived in the neighborhood and was friends with many members of the 600 set, and in a picture.
Damn, he wasn't even affiliated, bro, just for hanging out with the people that got him, bro. That's crazy. You can't even hang out with certain people, man. Chicago is different. Chicago different.
Picture allegedly taken on the night of the party, he can be seen with 600 members C-Day and Inky D dropping the 051Y hand sign as a sign of disrespect to that set. Later that night, Shaq would reportedly leave the party together with a woman, and they would walk through an alley on the 5900 block of South Calumet Avenue where Shaq would possibly stop to take a leak. At this point, one or more people would appear from behind them and open fire, hitting Shaq once on the upper back while grazing the girl on the shoulder.
Yo, ain't that the little story you just told the little girl in the beginning? Like, I'm the type of dude that will hide in the alleyway, and when you when somebody come out there and go pee, they ain't never going. That's the body you talk about.
Police and medics would then soon arrive to the scene, and Shaq would be transported to the Northwestern Memorial Hospital, where he would unfortunately succumb to his injuries. The following day, local news would report on the murder, stating how Shaq had been killed only 3 blocks away from his home on the 6000 block of South Michigan Avenue. But interestingly, Melly was living, or at least had still recently lived, right on the 5900 block of South Calumet Avenue, where Shaq was killed. But that certainly wasn't the only thing connecting Melly to this murder, because afterwards, Melly would start a years-long campaign.
Y'all read that? I heard 600 Shaq last words was, "Can I piss first?" Who invented that? I could be real disrespectful. I have the last word. She better go find Brittany, and that's what happened to when Shaq got caught up and sticking his hand. Damn.
Certainly wasn't the only thing connecting Melly to this murder, because afterwards, Melly would start a years-long campaign dissing Shaq, often taunting 600 members by mentioning how Shaq had been killed whilst he was taking a leak, and most famously in one incredibly dark bit, describing to a little girl how he's exactly the type.
Hey, so he knows the last words of that man, bro, so that's probably must have been the last words he said, dog. Can I take a piss first? Because he knew he was going, damn.
Type of guy who would pull off a murder while someone was peeing.
Back right now. Or you ain't getting
These
nothing?
boys crazy, boy. I see they
know how I play
crazy.
out here. You don't come with that money, shorty. Come up and done missing. You talking? You don't know who I am? You don't know who I am?
I know my daddy.
You scared of the dark?
No.
I'm one of them type of guys that be in the dark waiting for you when you gotta go pee at night. And I just get you, and you don't never come back to your parents again.
Damn, boy.
You hear me? Then your TT ain't gonna be able to save you. Your daddy, he gonna be crying somewhere like, man, she don't got nothing to do with me. Just take me.
Still, some people close to the events have denied Melly actually being behind the murder, most notably 600 veteran Tay Capone, who has openly said on his YouTube channel that Melly actually wasn't the killer. Another person often connected to this murder is an 051 member called Kiddo, who has similarly dissed Shaq on many occasions, even tweeting, "Kill Shaq, then forget about Shaq," only a few weeks after the murder, with this actually being a play on Chief Keef lyrics from his 2012 hit song 300. But whether the killer was Melly or someone else, it seems that 600 clearly considered 051 to be responsible, as they would allegedly end up avenging Shaq's death only a few months later in June, when the only 14-year-old Antonio Davis, aka Fathead, who was one of the youngest members of 051 but had been hanging out with them since he was a kid, was walking to a store with his cousin in the Englewood neighborhood. An assailant would spot Fathead from a van before approaching him on foot and shooting him numerous times while standing over him. Nobody has ever been convicted of this murder, and in online spaces it's been a topic of intense.
Yo, these youngsters, they standing over somebody and just unloading. You know, you got no soul no more, bro. Your soul is gone. You could just sit there. Cause I heard a lot about these murders. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. Cause I'm, you know what I mean, just like you guys. You know, this shit just, it fascinates me, bro. Like the way the lifestyle Chicago, the way these youngsters are doing what they're doing. It's just like you just gotta watch it to believe it. You're like, nah, hell, ain't no way. And then you start seeing their interviews, their before they you know they go bye. You start. It's just like, dude, they really doing that shit. Like I was watching Shooter Shells, the Shooter Shells one, man, and you know they said there's a picture of him with his head half gone and shit, but they can't show it on YouTube, so you gotta go to Reddit. My ass went to Reddit. I was like, let me Shooter Shells, you know, gone picture, and boy, that man, they're really doing that. Like, how can you stand over somebody and just unload in their head like that? No remorse, bro. No remorse. Demons out there, bro. The devil is out in Chicago, for real.
Debate for years now, but the Chicago police consider the case to be exceptionally cleared and committed by several people, most notably 2 members of the 600 set, Walter Smith, aka S. and Courtney Ely, aka C-Day, as well as a member of Lil Durk's Lamron set named Marvin Riley, aka OJ, who the police claim to have been the triggerman based on Fathead's cousin's description of the killer. Only a few days after the murder, Melly would once again begin to taunt 600 members, openly bragging how his set had killed Shaq, while claiming that 600 couldn't say they had killed anyone from his set, perhaps referring to...
My bad, bro. If y'all see me acting kind of weird, I took a gummy for the first time. I don't smoke any of that. You know what I mean? I never any of that, but my body hurts, so I got me some gummies. So if y'all see me acting weird, it's because that shit is kicking in. Like, I feel that shit kicking in right now, bro. I feel chill and relaxed right now. So if I be saying some wild shit, I'm feeling good, but just go with it. You feel me? Just go with it.
OJ being the one who actually killed Fathead. On the other hand, Fathead's brother has seemingly put the blame directly.
Yeah. So y'all could pause it and read that shit, because, you know, I like reading these shit, bro. We went from boys.
On C-Day, who's also known by the nickname 22 Shots, writing on a tribute post to Fathead how he's 622K or 60022 Killer. In any case, the murders of T Streets and Fathead launched a years-long rivalry, which wasn't just limited to tit-for-tat killings between 051 and 600, but would become part of a larger war in the South Side between 051 and their affiliates, and numerous majority Black Disciple sets affiliated with 600, like O-Block, Front Street, Lamron, and of course THF46, who had already been at war with 051 for years at this point. 051 would allow THF sets affiliated with 600, like O-Block.
Alright, so in these pictures, who's still alive, man? And who is passed on, bro? I know I see I want to say at least half of these youngsters is gone, man. Sadly. Y'all let me know, man.
Front Street, Lamron.
Alright, this picture too. Well, we couldn't get the other picture, but this one too. Who gone and who's still alive, man?
And of course, THF46, who would
right here as well, bro. Who's still out here with posts? Who still has a post in these pictures? Y'all let me know.
already been at war with 051 for years at this point. 051 would allegedly avenge Fathead's death in November 2012, killing a 19-year-old named Trey Henry, aka Trix, who was affiliated with 600. This was followed in June 2013 with the murder of 19-year-old Robert Allen, known as Lil Rob, or Beto, from the Lamron set. These murders have remained officially unsolved, but 051 has heavily claimed both, with Melly too implying that his set was behind these murders. Although Melly himself isn't often directly connected to these murders in online rumors, regardless of who had done what, 051 weren't done killing, and in September 2013, they would strike again, killing 17-year-old Leonard Anderson, better known as the up-and-coming rapper LA Capone from the 600 set. This was a devastating blow for 600, as LA was considered their most promising rapper, who had become increasingly close with other rappers in the community, like Lil Durk, who at this point had already signed a major deal with Def Jam Records and was rumored to have been in the works of helping LA Capone land a major record deal for himself as well.
He kept telling me that he's supposed to be meeting T.I., so flying to Atlanta with Durk and meeting T.I. and like that. This is what he used to be telling me, like before, like around time, he's telling me, I'm fly out, meet T.I.
Hey, you can see the pain in their eyes, bro. You can see like the pain in their eyes, but I don't be understanding what they be saying sometimes. I don't know if that's just the slang out there in Chicago, or my boys on a perk. But you know that, I mean, yeah, see eyes and shit. Like, I don't know, is he really not saying shit, or he just making noise and yelling what I'm talking about type shit? For real, man. And these youngsters is young, getting taken out. And you can see the pain sometime in their face, man, when you ask them questions about them, and the replies, you can like you can see the pain in their face, man, and in the tone of their voice.
Flying out at this point, like he had went on a couple shows with Durk.
LA's murder would eventually be solved, leading to the arrests and convictions of two 051 members, Michael Mays, aka 051 Rocco, or Rockhead, and Saki Hardy Johnson, aka Lil Mick, as well as a third person named Miko Buchanan. 051Melly, on the other hand, would once again take part in the dissing, making numerous tweets in the days following LA Capone's murder, where he would make fun of him, and boasting about all the people that his set had killed to avenge Fathead's death. But interestingly, Melly would often also mention Lil Durk in his tweets, making it seem that he was actually a fan of Durk's music, despite Durk being such close friends with Melly's enemies. But whether he was serious or just trolling at this point, Melly's fixation on Lil Durk would eventually become Lil Durk's worst nightmare. In March 2014, 600 would allegedly get their revenge, as 20-year-old Mark Campbell, better known as Lil Mark from 051, would be brutally gunned down in broad daylight while standing on a bus stop at 51st Street. Only a few days before his murder, Lil Mark had dropped a diss song called No Competition, a remix of Lil Durk's song Competition, dedicated diss track aimed towards the Black Disciple sets like 600, Lil Durk's Lamron, and King Von's O-Block. This song had made Lil Mark the #1 target in the streets, and it wouldn't take long before those who Lil Mark had dissed would be claiming his murder, with particularly D Rose from 600 and King Von from O-Block starting the dissing only hours after Lil Mark's death. But this time also Lil Durk, whose song Lil Mark had remixed just before dying, would decide to take the dissing to a whole new level, actually filming himself at the very bus stop where Lil Mark had been gunned down, telling people that he was in a very famous place, along with the caption 3THFTP, this being a member of the THF46 set who actually made an entire song dissing Lil Mark titled Bus Stop.
Bus stop, man. Hey, this bus stop right here, though. This a real famous place. You hear me? This is a real famous place, big. Hey, this bus stop, this is a real famous place, big. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I'm saying? Free my nigga team. In
online theories, this video is often considered to have perhaps been one of the biggest mistakes that Lil Durk has ever made, because while Durk was already a famous rapper, traveling all over the country, making it very hard for his ops to catch him, it seems that 051Melly, after this video, would make it his mission to show that in the streets of Chicago, he was the one in charge, and that everyone close to Durk that still was in these streets would not be safe. Moreover, Melly had become close with Durk's old friends, as Durk and his OTF crew had a falling out with the rapper King Louie and his Mubu crew in the summer of 2013. This all came out after a fight would erupt between Mubu and OTF, together with Chief Keef's Glow Gang, while they were performing in Iowa. After this scuffle, Melly would become increasingly close with the Mubu crew's most infamous member, Mubu Crump, who DJ Academics would famously nickname the Chirac scorekeeper due to Crump's deep knowledge about the city's gang law and his
Alright, so I guess now I know who gave him this name, right? Because you guys know, man, DJ Academics, you know that dude, he be giving names like it's left or like it's nothing. It's like a name your character type shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I think he's the one that called Little Reese the Grim Reaper or some shit like that. The scorekeeper, the serial killer, and Vaughn. And then, you know what I'm saying? Then the Gravedigger, like, damn, that boy just be giving out names like he's making a character in his head. And it just blew up. Damn.
Propensity to partake in online drama.
And now we're talking about the Chirac scorekeeper. Now, if you don't know who that is, a lot of people ask, who is a scorekeeper? Now, the person that's known as a scorekeeper is this individual that's known as Crump. Now, apparently, he's with the shits. He's a savage.
There you go.
But most notably, he's known for retelling hood stories on Twitter. And not only that, awarding victories. Now, he usually tells or keeps track of who the f is up, who's down, who's tied, who hit a buzzer beater, who hit a game-winning 3. He's keeping up with. So if you want to know who the f got choked, this is the guy to ask.
Crump had previously been very close with Dirk and seemingly ready to crash out for him at any moment, but now he was one of Lil Durk's worst enemies, and with Melly's notorious trigger finger and Crump's infamous Twitter fingers working in tandem, things were about to get very dark for Lil Durk. On the 31st of May 2014, only a few months after Lil Mark's death, Durk would be out in Chicago, driving around with his cousin MacArthur Swindle, who was known as Lil Durk's new rap prodigy, OTF Nunu, or Nooski. They would stop at a strip mall on the 700 block of East 87th Street, and Durk would go to visit one of the stores, while Nooski stayed back and waited in the car. At around 3:20 PM, while Durk was inside the store, someone would suddenly approach the car, opening fire at Nooski, who would attempt to drive away from the situation. Unfortunately, he'd already been hit numerous times, and would crash his car into a nearby storefront window before succumbing to his injuries. Someone at the scene would even capture the moment of Lil Durk seeing his deceased cousin and breaking down, which his ops would later post.
Man, look, bro, straight up, man. Like when you guys know, I'm especially in Chicago, right? 'Cause this is where we're watching, this is where it's happening. So if you know that you're into it with the oppositions, and you know that your people did things to their people, they're gonna do things to your people. So if you're driving around your city, man, knowing that you got all this heat and they're really doing shit out there, why would you sit in your car and not be scoping? Why would you not have your hand on the, on the BB gun? Like, why, though? Like, you guys know it's dangerous. You should always have the trigger on it and just ready to go, man. When I was growing up in the early 2000s, it was crazy too, man. Not as crazy as this, but people were getting done in. You know what I mean? Like me, I had so much problems where I was from because I was never affiliated with any type of gang, hood, crew, any of that. I was always a solo person. I was doing things by myself. Every crime that I ever did, I did it by myself. So I had a lot of enemies, man, because everybody wanted to, they wanted me to roll with them because I grew up in a blood neighborhood, and the essays didn't like me, the whites didn't like me, the Crips didn't like me, and I used to always wear red, bro. But everywhere I went, I always had my sweater with my finger in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, like if you're in that situation, your life is always gonna be in danger. You always gotta keep that motherfucker ready to go, man. Anytime. I used to walk around always looking back every 2 seconds, like a crackhead, like I was paranoid. Every time I drove my car, I always parked that motherfucker in reverse so I could see the whole parking lot and I could see my left and right, and I always had my finger in it. You know what I'm saying? Like you got it's crazy, man. That's how all the videos that I've seen, all these youngsters got caught in the vehicles and bus stops with just naked. Like, come on, man.
On social media to mercilessly troll him. Nooski's murder remains officially unsolved, but in online theories, Melly has always been one of the main suspects. Only about an hour and a half after Nooski had been killed, Melly would simply tweet a bunch of laughing emojis with no further context. This will be followed by another tweet of Melly saying that he had heard that somebody was looking for him, and yet another tweet, this time clearly referring to the shooting by posting a bunch of emojis depicting a person running and shooting. The following day, Melly would start making fun of Nooski more directly, laughing at someone commenting on the news story about the incident, and he would also make a tribute post to Fathead and Lil Mark, saying how he wished he could see them again, but that he has to continue turning up for them in the streets. Crump, on the other hand, had been going back and forth with Nooski.
God damn, Crump, he tweeted like a mob. Yeah. You go ahead and read that. I like reading the hell out of these boys because I've never seen them before. Oh, they was going at it in this motherfucking Texas, huh? But the finger was going crazy. The finger game was going crazy, but they don't have the finger in the right place when they need it, because sad to say, man, they don't have a post.
Even before his death, with Crump calling Newski a fake gangster, and not long after Newski's death, Crump would let his infamous Twitter fingers loose, dissing Newski for being an internet gangster who had been talking tough online, but now would face the real consequences. But Crump wasn't satisfied with just tweeting, and eventually, he would even post a video of himself at the murder scene, even saying how he was there with the very person who killed Newski. He doesn't want to be on camera, which many have taken to be an obvious reference to 051Melly.
Them left Newski. They left his ass right here. You feel me? They left his ass up here on folks and them tweaking. Buying some shoes. Y'all see real niggas be up here though. Niggas play with me up here on folks in this building be on the news. I look like Newski. Hit his ass up right here on Pat. I'm with the that did. He don't want to be on camera though. Hit his ass up right here on Pat. They fuck my boy up. Right here, you feel me? Historic events. Y'all know I'm gonna bring y'all around this shit. Historic events. Wish you would play with me, boy. I look like Newski. He ran into this though. He ran into the children's place, died like a bitch on Pokes now. Goof. No, what do I look like Newski?
Lil Durk was obviously heartbroken by the loss of his cousin, but this would be only the beginning of 051Melly's campaign to torment Lil Durk. Later that year, Durk would actually come face to face with Melly, as the two would run into each other during a meet and greet event for the rapper T.I., where Durk was together with his OTF crew, while Melly would arrive with King Louie's Mubu crew. This would lead to a major scuffle between the two crews, requiring the police to break things up.
Sidestepping right here. Man, boy, nobody's swung, bro. All that shit, all that. If you guys see each other face to face and nobody's throwing punches, nobody's getting knocked out, nobody's getting the shit hit, nobody's getting pumpkin head, they're not really with it, man. I'm sorry to say that shit, because we seen the videos of, okay, they'll go and you know, and pew pew, you know what I mean, motherfuckers? But when they want, it's time to throw hands, nobody throws them. They'd rather just catch you on the and pew pew, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy, man. Back then, we would have been, all right, once somebody looked at you for more than 2 seconds, and you know, what's up? And then he says, what's up? Then hands start flying, man. I'm telling you. Not nowadays, though. Yeah.
Check it out. Hey, good shit, folks. Good shit.
Hey, the police said, come on, bro. I already know to stay back, folks.
I want to give a special apology to my motherfucking brother, Henry, from the shop, man. The shop 147. I apologize for disturbing the peace, OTF as a whole. Hearing you, my brother, and you know I got your back 100%. Talking about a nigga choke me, man. What the f going on, man? You already know we can fight head up if you want to. We can shoot it out on you goof ass move, man. F you talking about, Crump? Why the f was you running? F wrong with you, Louie too, man. Crump and Louie.
Afterwards, Melly would troll about the incident on Twitter, saying that Durk had panicked after seeing him and had failed to do anything to him before their crews got into it, perhaps subtly implying that Durk should have at least tried something given what Melly had done to Newski. But unfortunately for Durk, Melly had zero intentions of keeping the beef only on the internet, and less than a year after Newski's murder, he would allegedly strike again. In the early morning hours of the 27th of March 2015, Lil Durk's
That's the one
manager,
they call
OTF
Chino Burger?
real name Buchina Aguina, was sitting in his car outside a fast food spot on the 8400 block of Stony Island Avenue. After having taken part in a meeting with basketball star Joachim Noah about their anti-violence campaign earlier that evening, then, just like in Newski's murder, an unknown assailant would suddenly walk up to the car, open fire, hitting Chino multiple times. By the time an ambulance would arrive to take him to the hospital, he would end up being pronounced dead on arrival. Afterwards, Mubu Crump would do what he did best, shooting another video of him visiting the death site and trolling Lil Durk, asking the cashier at the food store if they had an order for Newski before trolling and demanding a Chino burger.
Hey, y'all got that order for Newski? Chino burger. Chino burger. Yeah, y'all got it. Hey, ready? Oh, thank you. Oh, Bill. What's up? Y'all with that OTLK? Oh, man. Hey, this motherfucker focus as hell, man. Y'all, this shit ain't done, man. Y'all done put this shit back on the grill, man. This shit disgusting, man. Get this shit together, man. For real, this shit bogus as hell.
Only about a week after Chino's murder, one of the founding members of the 600 set, called Lil Boo, real name Jerome Anderson, would also reportedly be gunned down by an assailant getting around in a gold-coloured car. A member of 051 called Ario, real name Arius Fitch, would be arrested as a suspect in the case later that very same day, but many have also rumoured Melly to have been involved in the case, particularly as Lil Boo's sister would later diss Melly after his death, telling him to say hi to his brother in the afterlife. Following Chino's murder, Lil Durk has been rumoured to have placed a $150,000 bounty on Melly's head, which, while unproven, may not be far-fetched given the murder-for-hire charges that Lil Durk is currently locked up for. This would allegedly lead to a young member of the THF-46 set called Raheem, who was only 15 years old at the time, to try and hunt Melly down a few months later in May, actually catching him and other 051 years old at the time to try and hunt a young member of the THF-46 set called Raheem, who was only 15 years old at the time.
Hey, my boy was trying to get paid. He like, that's on his head, I'm on it. 150? Yeah, I would change my life. I'd be a billionaire, thousandaire, goddammit. He went on the fuck, he went to go look whatever.
Try and hunt Melly down a few months later in May, actually catching him and other 051 members on the 6000 block of South Wentworth Avenue and opening fire at them, hitting Melly in the head and foot, whilst also hitting others, including Lil Boo's alleged killer Ario. All victims would be taken to hospital with serious injuries, but miraculously, nobody would die in the incident, and afterwards, pictures were posted online showing Melly with crutches and a cast on his leg, while he would also jump on Twitter and let everybody know that he wasn't shaken by the incident one bit, as Melly's brother Wu would also later tell Zach TV.
So he got shot in the head and still what?
Hey, I got two brothers and they know it. Arrow, check it out. What's up? What's up? My big brother Arrow, my big brother Melly. Y'all know we blood. Zach and all this shit. Finna see all this shit. Shout out to Zach one time. Shout out to JCV, man. My nigga. All the time. Free roll? It's your money, man. I tell you different on the camera, man. They be lying, man. We doing this shit, man. Look, catch me. Guess what? Headshot one. Bitch, y'all did, boy. Hey, no. Shout out. He really straight off that headshot, man. Y'all know it.
But unfortunately for Raheem, shooting the Chirac gravedigger but not killing him meant that he was going to be moving with a huge target on his back from that point onwards, and Melly would make it clear by swearing on Lil Mark's life that he was going to make his enemies suffer. Only a few days later, on the 24th of May, Raheem and another teen were walking in an alley near 45th Street. Case assessment to have given the avenue allegedly would die in the incident, and afterwards pictures were posted online showing Melly with crutches and a cast on his leg, while he would also jump on Twitter and let everybody know that he wasn't shaken by the incident one bit, as Melly's brother Wu would also later tell Zach. Shooting the Chirac gravedigger but not killing him meant that he was going to be moving with a huge target on his back from that point onwards, and Melly would make it clear by swearing on Lil Mark's life that he was going to make his enemies suffer. Only a few days later, on the 24th of May, Raheem and another teen were walking in an alley near 45th Street and Cross Grove Avenue in the Bronzeville neighborhood, when someone would ambush them and shoot both, killing Raheem while injuring his friend. Once again, Melly's friend 051 Ario, who had just last month been arrested in the relation to the murder of Lil Boo, and who had been one of the people injured in the shooting together with Melly, would be arrested for the murder. This time, the arrest would also lead to charges. Police reports would later reveal how Ario's arrest had led to an absurd moment where he would allegedly pleasure himself inside the interrogation room. During the trial, the prosecutor would argue that Ario had murdered Raheem to avenge the earlier interrogation room.
Hold on, man. My boy says, F it. I'm gonna get this. Let me just bust my last one real quick. Damn. Savagey right there, boy. Not giving a damn about no damn police officers.
During the trial, the prosecutor would argue that Ario had murdered Raheem to avenge the earlier shooting that had also injured Melly. But once again, despite persistent rumors that Melly had also participated in the shooting, and numerous times that Melly had seemingly dissed Raheem and even implied that he'd taken part in the murder, Melly himself would never be charged.
Can't smoke. We ain't doing shit. I don't know.
We don't know. I don't know what we ain't smoking nobody.
I got shot 2 weeks. He expired.
You want me to read you a bedtime story and tuck you in? Oh, yeah. Tell you about this when he walked down this dark alley. He ain't make it to the other end of the alley. I was just reading the comments, bro.
God damn.
I'm just asking you. You said
he ain't make it to the end of the alley. Damn. Hold on, I'm gonna push you all types of buttons right now. Damn.
You said you finna go to sleep. I am. And I say you want me to tell you about this story about this right.
And then you see, bro, do y'all be reading the comments when y'all watch shit like this? They be on the comments going crazy too, man.
But for one end of the alley, but he didn't make it to the other end. It was black alley to take the story. I heard of it. It's a story. Why you never heard of it? Why you wasn't there? Of course. I've heard of it.
Well, tell us the story. Damn. That look like an interesting story to hear.
After Raheem's murder, Melly would seemingly lay low for over a year, but in November 2016, he would allegedly strike again. On the 26th of November, a mass shooting would take place inside a party on the 8800 block of South Exchange Avenue, which would end up killing 18-year-old Daquan Barnett, also known as Bankroll Q from Melly's 051 Money set. The shooting would also injured 5 others. The online rumors would later claim that the shooting was done by youngsters from the so-called Motown part of Chicago, a neighborhood that's for the longest time been associated with the Black P Stones. One of these youngsters, called Breeze, would later seemingly brag about the shooting on Twitter, but meanwhile, another one would end up losing his life less than 24 hours later. The following day after the fatal party, at around 2:03 p.m, 18-year-old Del Von Weston, known in the streets as Lil Del from the Folly Boys set, which is one of the many sets based in Motown, was sitting in a parked car on the 8800 block of South Marshfield Avenue in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood, when a dark-colored SUV would pull up next to him and someone would open fire, hitting Del several times in the chest. And while he was reportedly able to drive himself to the Christ Medical Center, he would ultimately be pronounced dead at 2:22 p.m. Only a few minutes after Del was pronounced dead at the hospital, 051Melly would hop on Twitter, simply tweeting, "I'm at Army alone," followed by "right back," as if he was celebrating a successful get back. This was followed by a tweet saying, "Finna go change my clothes," that he would post together with a video showing himself sitting in a car while talking to a person who would show a gun to the camera.
And look at that, man. They just laughing like nothing really happened, bro. Like, damn, he just took people's soul and made their post stop, and he just, like, it's nothing on here, bro. Damn.
For seemingly saying how they had got someone or something.
No, you a little yeah. No, you invite him. Oh yeah, we got them. That's what I'm talking about. When? Man, damn.
When you gotta get your girlfriend, you gotta be faithful, bro.
I got a girlfriend.
You gotta get like me. You gotta get like me. You got
girlfriend on Come out of that, though, G. What's wrong?
The person who Melly was talking with was a little-known face in the drill scene at the time, but he would later become known in connection to Lil Durk's murder-for-hire allegations, as this person would turn out to be none other than Stephon Mack, who would also be eventually killed in 2022, allegedly as a retaliation for the murder of Lil Durk's brother D-Thang. But later on, Melly's other friends would also often make posts on social media implying that Del's murder was connected to the death of Bankroll Q, and that Melly had in fact had something to do with it. But besides tweets, the murder of Del, like so many of Melly's other alleged bodies, is only based on online rumors and theories.
Damn, another one?
However, in 2017,
11,
Melly
right?
would allegedly commit a murder that would almost get him caught. On the 13th of June, at approximately 10:30 p.m, residents on the 5000 block of Drexel Boulevard would report gunshots, and in the building's gangway, 22-year-old Dandre Smith was found lying dead, his body riddled with bullets.
Yo, what's a gangway? Is that like an alley? An alleyway? They just call it a gangway? Is that what it is? Just an alley? But y'all call it gangways? Or what is it?
Investigators would eventually learn that Dandre, known in the streets as Lord Dre, was a friend of 051Melly, and on the day of his death, he had been asked by Melly to participate in the robbery of a drug dealer. However, this robbery plan was allegedly just a ruse to get Dre to meet Melly, who he might have known deep down was out to get him, as Dre would allegedly text his brother to let him know that he was with Melly in case something happened to him. Melly and a woman named Tiara would then allegedly drive Dre to the building on Drexel Boulevard before Melly would shoot him in the gangway. But why would Melly kill somebody who had supposedly been his friend? Perhaps they'd had a falling out recently, or perhaps for a much darker reason. Because
that boy said, the dude that texted Smith to go meet him, but now Smith is with Melly. So the dude that told him to meet him, he texted his brother to inform him that he was with Melly should anything happen to him. So he knew something was gonna happen to him, but he's the one that told him to come meet him. But he ended up with Melly, and he's telling him if something might happen, knowing that it's gonna happen. Just they want him to know he was with Melly. That's crazy, bro. You set him up. He set him up, man.
If the investigators are to be believed, the reason had a much more sinister explanation, as Melly had allegedly learned that there was a $12,000 bounty that had been placed on Dre's head, which was money that Melly needed to bond out his brother Wu, who had been arrested 2 days earlier on weapons charges. In fact, Melly and his brother Wu would even allegedly have poorly disguised coded conversations about the murder plot on recorded phone calls while Wu was still in jail, while a witness would tell the investigators that Melly had tried to claim to her that it was THF-46 who were trying to kill him and Dre, and that both Melly and Dre had money on their heads, and it was only a matter of time before one of them would kill the other to claim the bounty. However, at the time, the police simply didn't have enough evidence to hold Melly on these charges, and while they didn't know it at the time, before they could ever capture him for good, it would already be too late, both for Melly and his next victims.
This is where Mubu Crump gets
At the end of 2017, Melly's good friend Mubu Crump would be released from federal prison after he'd been locked up for about 2 years, and he would get back onto the streets and online and do what he does best: troll, even dropping a song dissing Dirk and his crew titled OTFK, where he would diss numerous gangs and sets like THF-46 and Lamron, as well as dead people like Newski and Chino. Crump would keep disrespecting his ops, perhaps thinking they had all gone Hollywood together with Lil Durk, but unfortunately for Crump, there were plenty of his enemies still left who were willing to show him that he wasn't the only tough guy in the city, and that even having a top shooter like Melly around couldn't save him. In the early morning hours of May 25th, 2018, Crump and Melly were attending a party on the 6800 block of South Morgan Street, only a few blocks away from Lil Durk's Lamron set's hood, while Crump, whose real name is Ronald Crump, was standing outside the party with another man. A car would drive by and someone inside would open fire, striking both. Crump would pass away from his injuries, but the other man would end up surviving after a surgery. Now, there's been many rumors about that second victim, with many claiming that this person had in fact been Melly himself, and that he had actually been the main target. But while Melly seemingly was in the party, he would deny having been the second victim while on an Instagram live with Dirk's good friend and OTF affiliate Bezu from THF-46.
If I was there, it wouldn't go on. If I was there, it wouldn't go on. You could say one person, and I wasn't there. I was in the bushes.
Bro.
He said he was in the bushes. He said he was in the bushes.
What's this question? You say one person.
No, bro, we can record it.
Yo, does Melly live in the bushes? I seen a couple where he's like, man, I be posted in the bushes. Like, he said I was in the bushes. It wasn't him. He was already trying to plan on who to get next. Him and the bushes was having a conversation like, man, who we gonna get to next, man? Let your boy know I'm coming through type shit. You know, to the bushes. Damn.
Bro, you know that. I'm not gonna say no name. You know what's going on.
I just told you I was that one person. And what was I doing when it was going on? I was fucking running to gunfire?
Yeah.
I ain't no stupid.
Super Sable, right?
You heard me saying to you, I'm real smart. You even told me I'm not no idiot.
The police report on the shooting would also note how the second victim had no gang affiliations or previous arrests, and the victim's age would also be reported as 28, while Melly was only 26 at the time. But whether Melly himself had been shot or not, he was looking to avenge his good friend's death, and while nobody would be arrested for the murder, if dissing was anything to go by, Melly would certainly have no problem deciphering who had been behind the hit, as people connected to Lil Durk's OTF crew were quick to start rejoicing over Crump's death, with everybody from Lil Durk to Bezu and even King Von, who had only recently returned home after beating his own murder charges, would participate in the dissing. Bezu would seemingly even later imply that the police had come looking for him after Crump's murder.
Hey, look, the Crump woofing at me on the internet. Somebody smoking, they come get me. You finna do the same.
However, one of the main suspects that the online sleuths have attached to Crump's murder is actually Lil Durk's childhood friend, Lil Steve, from his own Lamron set, who actually many consider may have been the actual triggerman. Durk's fans have even considered these lyrics from his popular No Auto Durk song from September 2018 to be an admission that Steve was actually behind Crump's murder, with Durk rapping that the ops can't have a party on their block if Steve is out there. But before Melly would get his revenge on Durk, he would allegedly finish another job that he had started a long time ago. On the 19th of August, only a few months after Crump's murder, 19-year-old Tyrone Marshall was hanging out with a friend on the 4000 block of the South Calumet Avenue in the Bronzeville neighborhood. Tyrone, known in the streets as TY, was also known as an aspiring rapper, but Melly would have a more personal connection with him, as TY had been a friend of Lil Del, whom Melly had allegedly killed as revenge for the murder of his friend Bankroll Q. Moreover, TY had allegedly been present during Bankroll's murder. At around 3:27 PM, while TY was leaning on a car and talking to his friend, another car would pull up, and someone from the inside would fire shots, hitting hitting TY in the head, and he would later be pronounced dead at the hospital. Interestingly, this time, a witness would actually recognize Melly as the shooter, but once again, the police would be too slow to act, and before they were able to gather enough evidence to catch Melly, it would already be too late. Even with the most conservative estimates, Melly had now gotten away with several murders, but he wasn't done with his revenge campaign before he would get back for the murder of Crump, and only about 2 months after TY's murder, he would get his opportunity. On the 8th of October, Lil Durk's big brother and manager D-Thang was out in their hometown with some childhood friends, including Durk's cousin Baby D, real name Darnell Banks. In the early morning hours, they were driving in the Pullman neighborhood on the far south side. They would reportedly be at a parking lot of the McDonald's when somebody would open fire at them, even hitting one of the windows of the restaurant. They would pull off with their car, but would eventually come to a stop on the 11200 block of South Cottage Grove Avenue, where police would find 3 of the men suffering from serious gunshot wounds. D-Thang was one of the people shot, but he would end up surviving, but unfortunately Baby D wouldn't be as lucky. He was rushed to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he would tragically pass away hours later. Baby D's murder would be yet another unsolved murder, but online theories have connected Melly to the incident based on 2 main pieces of circumstantial evidence. First, a photo would circulate.
You know these cops is like, God damn, another one? Man, it's too cold out here to be doing this shit. You know, like, we can't catch these boys. Police is slow as hell, man. They got so many investigations, they don't even think they could keep up.
Online of one of Baby D's cousins wearing a Long Live Baby D shirt with an F Melly print boldly placed on the front, together with a picture of Melly. This showing that people close to Baby D indeed certainly seemed to consider Melly to be responsible. Moreover, after Melly was killed, D-Thang would reportedly share an Instagram story that seemed to celebrate Melly's death, while implying that anyone who had ever done anything to him had died. He would also tweet after Melly's death how any op who had ever shot at him wasn't here anymore to tell the story. Baby D is often considered to have been Melly's final victim, and unfortunately for Melly, before his life would come to an end, he would have to experience yet another major loss on his side of the war. On the 3rd of January 2019, Melly's good friend Mota, real name Wilbert Morris, was driving with a friend called Side.
That was, yeah, you go, say there's 2 of them, Side and Motor.
Real name Marcus Clark, on the 5000 block of South Indiana Avenue in the Bronzeville neighborhood, when someone would open fire at them shortly before 1 p.m, hitting one of them in the chest while the other one in the face, killing both at the scene. Mota and Side were from Jaro City, a set who were at the time very close with 051Melly's 051 Young Money set, the 2 even sometimes going by the connected name YM Jaro. And personally, Mota was one of Melly's closest friends, his death clearly being one of the toughest losses that Melly had faced in the streets, with Melly swearing that one day he would make those people responsible cry like he had. And once again, if dissing was anything to go by, the usual suspects close to Lil Durk's OTF would begin taking shots at Mota and Side. This time, OTF's younger generation would take the charge, like the rapper Moowop, who would preview a song on his Instagram where he would diss FBG Duck, whose murder he would eventually be convicted of being part of, as well as dissing both Mota and Side with a slick double entendre.
Do from 63rd, couldn't get back up, knock a hold out the guy when we spin rap up.
No doubt, given enough time, Melly would have.
Oh, so they're not gonna mention that one about that female that he did? But it was her name Amber, some shit like that. They ain't gonna mention that one, huh?
Claimed yet another victim to avenge the murder of Mota, but given the amount of havoc and destruction that he had caused, even Melly himself likely knew that his days were numbered. Or perhaps he didn't, because during his Instagram live with Bezu, Melly would proudly claim that he was never going to move out of Chicago, and that he was going to live until he was 100, with even Bezu giving him credit for knowing how to move in his hometown.
I'm gonna move to Mexico, man. Start a new life, bro. I'm scared. Oh, no, I ain't never moving out of Chicago. Oh, yeah. I love it here. Make it here. You said make it here. Sure. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it to 100 years. Sure. I'm gonna be one of the last ones standing. Yeah, you know how to move. Duck that taco. Nah, I ain't ducking my taco. Just say you said it right the first time. I know how to move. I ain't ducking my taco. You know how to move. I'm gonna give that to you.
Perhaps Melly could have ducked his main enemies like the OTF until he was an old man, but the problem was that Melly had made so many enemies that even he probably couldn't keep count of them all. And so on his last day, Melly would be right where he was comfortable at, attending a party in the hood of Jaro City, only a few blocks away from his main enemies like 600 and O Block. As mentioned, Melly was close with Jaro City, but unfortunately he had also made some enemies amongst the set, because according to later police reports, a witness would reveal that Melly had shot up the house of a Jaro City member called Lil Daryl, real name Daryl Rhyme, which was possibly a retaliation for the fact that Daryl might have been telling on Melly in the murder investigation of Lord Dre. These events would lead to a fateful moment in the party, where Melly would allegedly run into one of Daryl's friends, called 007 Nate, just as one of the partygoers was filming a video, capturing the chilling last moments of Melly's life on camera.
That video's crazy, man.
The police would later check the security cameras of the building, seeing that 007 Nate, real name Nathaniel Hicks, had arrived at the party around 12:30 AM, and at one point he'd even posed at one of the security cameras with his gun, before then allegedly shooting Melly at around 2:45 AM and then running out of the building. Nate would then be identified as the shooter by multiple witnesses, and he was eventually even caught a few days later with the murder weapon still on him. But despite all of this evidence, the state attorney's office would ultimately refuse to prosecute Nate due to the witnesses' refusal to cooperate. In the end, just like Melly had seemingly escaped justice so many times due to the no snitching code that rules the streets, ultimately this code would also make sure that Melly's family wouldn't be receiving any closure after his death. And no doubt, considering how much the Chicago police knew that Melly was terrorizing the streets and taking people out, perhaps there was some sick satisfaction for the cops in just not making an effort to get justice for one of the city's.
That's what I think. That's why the cops don't even try to get these kids, man. They're probably like, man, let them go. They ain't gonna be here that much longer. You know what I mean? Hey, cops is crooked. Cops is the gang too. They're playing that shit smart, man. Let them take each other out, and we'll catch whoever we catch. Whatever's left over, we'll catch the strays, you know. But let these people do what they do, man. They're gonna get taken out by each other anyways, type shit. That's crazy.
These most demonic killers. Ultimately, 051Melly left one of the most shocking legacies in the streets of Chicago, a certified gang assassin bordering on serial killer with at least 8 rumored murders attributed to him online, and perhaps even more that the internet doesn't even know about. Melly didn't rap a single lyric, but he became famous off the back of his reputation that echoed through the lyrics of more focused and famous Chicago drillers who survived and made music. His dark legacy lives through these songs, the IG posts, Reddit posts and comments, and YouTube documentaries, painting him as the so-called gravedigger of Chirac. But at the end of the day, Melly's story is truly one of a tragic waste of life. What did he really achieve? There's nothing cool or fun about terrorizing your community and taking the lives of promising young people who could have all been doing something better with their time. Melly was clearly terrorizing Lil Durk and the OTF and the THF crews, and while it was other people who ultimately had the last laugh, there's no winners here. There's nothing cool about being the biggest demon or the biggest killer from your neighborhood. And despite his fearsome reputation as an untouchable killer who everyone was scared of and supposedly knew how to move, Melly winded up getting touched too, getting caught lacking and losing his life in an incredibly unremarkable way that was far from heroic. So, if there's a lesson from this story, it's that there really are no winners in the streets, no trophies for being the top killer, just a shortcut to an early grave and a very big list of sins to answer for when you do reach whatever comes after life. So I hope you learned something from this story.
Yo, that was crazy, man. I don't know why I like watching these videos of Chicago, because it just, like I said, it fascinates me. Just like, damn, they did that. And that many times they stood over this dude, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. We just gotta see it, man. But Chicago is different. Like, I mean, they'd rather shoot than throw hands. As we saw in the other, when they all got together, they weren't throwing hands. They were just, you know, chit-chatting back and forth, very loud. And they ain't nobody done nothing. Maybe on the last clip, probably someone was fighting, but out of the whole group, back then you had one group meet another group. It's a rumble. We call that shit a rumble. You know what I'm saying? Like, you with your crew, they with their crew. You know, you guys, one person got one problem with one person in their crew, and we see each other. We nod their head, what you're staring at, and then, you know, let's get ready to rumble type shit. For real, man. But yeah, this is the Yarmel one, man. The many murders of 051Melly. Let me know what y'all think. Hit the comments, like or dislike. The more you guys interact with the channel, you know, the more it'll get in the algorithm. But man, yeah, these are crazy videos to be watching, man. But hope y'all enjoyed it. I did. And yeah, till the next one, your homie. That Esse. I'm out. Peace. Don't think about leaving without hitting the subscribe button.